Live from Studio G, I'm Steve Gruber, here to fight for you. I am the tip of the spear against socialists. I'm fighting for the foxhole of freedom. Remember why you still can to think. This is the Steve Gruber Show. Here are three big things you need to know right now. Number one, the Powerball jackpot continues to grow, now passing $1.5 billion. And again, if you happen to win, we can be best friends. Number two, the move to remove the Speaker of the House has Republicans trying to figure out who's next. It appears Steve Scalise is the favorite, but Jim Jordan could pull it off too. We'll see. And number three, war. For the first time in 50 years, Israel has made an official declaration of war. The first time the nation has been at war since the Yom Kippur War of 1973. This time, Israel was attacked by Hamas terrorists that sent more than 5,000 rockets into the country from the Gaza Strip to the southwest. The last count has more than 1,100 Israelis and others dead, including 260 young people at a music festival. We'll get to all of this. After the rocket attacks began, Hamas soldiers poured into Israel, attacking and murdering people in their homes. Men, women, children, all slaughtered without regard. Dead bodies were defiled on video and shared globally on social media as the monsters celebrated and danced in the streets all over the world. Celebrations held in the streets of major cities worldwide. Truly disgusting. This is what weakness in the White House brings, by the way. We currently have the first major war in Eastern Europe in decades, and the first war involving Israel in 50 years. Weakness brings violence because the enemies that are kept at bay by American strength are empowered by opportunities provided by the weakness of Joe Biden and his feeble administration of the world stage. That's the way it is. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney among those laying the blame at the feet of the weakest president in modern times, Joe Biden. And weakness leads to war, as we know. Listen to this.
We are projecting weakness around the world, particularly on real key issues. Our greatest ally, the only democracy in the Middle East, Israel. And I urge everyone to stand by them. And it's good to know that our colleagues on both sides of the aisle are doing that right now. But the administration is got to be responsible for this. They need to take a stronger stand. And you just referred to that tweet that I saw coming up earlier, which I immediately responded to. It was egregious for the administration to look as if this was both sides. This is a clear attack from Hamas, sponsored by Iran, against our greatest ally. This is not about Israel, anything about Israel doing anything aggressive. They need to stand up and they need to defend their citizens. I'm with Netanyahu and 100% on this. The Israelis need to stand strong, and we need to be with them.
This is just another failure, by the way, that could have been avoided. I'll dig deeper on that in a bit, but first, how could this be missed? By Israeli and Western intelligence services, every single one of them. I mean, was everyone asleep at the wheel and not just President Joe Biden? Think about it. Missed every step of the way. The intelligence failure on all fronts is massive. How do you miss all of this? Listen.
It's quite astonishing, and there'll be plenty of investigations to find out why this is so. But you're absolutely right. There's such close cooperation between Israeli and American intelligence. You know, we cooperate to give intelligence information to Ukraine, both Israel and the United States. It is difficult to envision how Hamas could have, even over a long period of time, even quietly accumulated so many missiles from Iran, position them to attack at the ready. These kinds of things are relatively easy to detect. In addition, we have human intelligence. We don't. The Israelis have human intelligence assets inside Gaza. One of the things that comes to mind is that Hamas may have spent a long period of time getting rid of, isolating, imprisoning those people who they thought were fifth columnists inside Gaza, making it difficult for Israel to get human intelligence out of Gaza and correlate that with other information that they have. Even so, it is difficult to envision how American, Western, and Israeli intelligence could miss this buildup.
Yeah, how do you miss this? You have to wonder. If they all missed the buildup of more than 5,000 rockets, and the fact that they're ready to blocked down the barricades. They used front-end loaders and bulldozers and blew open the fences and the concrete barriers and just poured in, murdering people in their homes. If they missed that, what else are we missing here today? That's the big question. The leaders of Hamas are now admitting that the planning for this coordinated assault on the state of Israel was led in large part by Iran, the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism. Remember the $6 billion we just gave them? We'll get to that too. Retired General Jack Keane was clear that Iran was behind the attacks. He was right. And the murderous rampage on Israeli homes and elsewhere. And then the next step could be Hezbollah terrorists coming out of Lebanon to the north. Tens of thousands of hardened soldiers, about 140,000 Hezbollah fighters, ready to attack Israel as well. This could be a two-front war very quickly. Listen to this.
And the last time they got into it with Hezbollah was back in 2006, and they didn't do so well. After a month, they pulled out of there. And all of the service chiefs were fired by the prime minister for what he believed was incompetence. So that is in the back of their mind as well, right, in dealing with this. They do not want Hezbollah into this operation. Right. Iran is behind this. They scored a strategic victory here. What is that victory? The normalization of relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel is on hold. That is for sure. I don't think it'll go away, but it's obviously going to be delayed rather significantly as a result of this.
And remember, as I just said, Joe Biden and his team just released $6 billion to Iran. And even though it's supposed to be used only for humanitarian items, and they say none of it's been sent so far, they haven't spent a penny so far, it's still clear that it frees up money for other things. If you know you've got $6 billion breaking free to buy bread and milk or whatever, then you've got $6 billion to do other things, like, kill mothers and their children inside their homes on a Jewish holiday because they're Jewish. No other reason. Murdered because they're Jewish. Anthony Blinken, of course, refuses to admit the obvious. That was America unfreezing that $6 billion for Iran, made attacks like this one on Israel easier and more predictable. Listen.
First, with regard to the funds that you mentioned that were released were made available to Iran for humanitarian purposes as part of getting Americans back who are being held and detained in Iran. Let's be very clear about this. And it's deeply unfortunate that some are playing politics when so many lives have been lost and Israel remains under attack. The facts are these. No U.S. Taxpayer dollars were involved. These were Iranian resources that Iran had accumulated from the sale of its oil that were stuck in a bank in South Korea. They have had from day one, under our law, under our sanctions, the right to use these monies for humanitarian purposes. They were moved from one account to another in another country to facilitate that use. As of now, not a single dollar has been spent from that account. And again, the account is closely regulated by the U.S. Treasury Department, so it can only be used for things like food, medicine, medical equipment. That's what this is about.
When I look at him and I listen to him, I think how weak you are. And I remember Senator John McCain said Anthony Blinken was a danger to this country, to our country. No kidding. He was right about that. I'll be back.